everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I want to go over an important asylum update because there's a lot of confusion right now, and I wanted to make sure that you have the accurate and practical information that you need. So here's the key update. USCIS is lifting the pause on making asylum decisions, but only for people who are not citizens of and were not born in the 39 countries on the travel bans that were issued in 2025 and 2026. That's the critical point. This is a partial lift, not a full policy change. So I wanted to take some time to kind of dig into this new policy change and the updates. Now, I do want to clarify that something very important that many people are misunderstanding. The asylum process has not stopped, even for people from those 39 countries of travel ban. If you're from one of those countries, you can still file your asylum application and USCIS will still process your case, and you may still be scheduled for an interview as normal. But what USCIS cannot do is USCIS cannot issue a final decision right now on those cases. Now, what is the recent change? On the other hand, for the individuals who are outside of the 39 countries, with this new policy update, USCIS can now move forward and issue the final decision on their asylum cases, which is a great news for many. So what does this really mean in real life? If your case has been stuck waiting for a decision, and if you're not from one of those 39 countries, you may finally start seeing movement towards a decision on your asylum case. But I want to be very clear about something. Just because cases may start moving again, that doesn't mean that the process is easier. In fact, what we're seeing and what we're hearing from different asylum offices is that scrutiny is still very high. Officers are still looking very closely at credibility, background, consistency, and overall discretion. And they're putting a lot of emphasis now on discretion. So you should expect your interview to be very detailed and thorough. Now, there is another trend that I want to mention as well, and that's because people are asking about it. We're hearing reports of, in some interviews, officers are asking questions about related to anti-Semitism or questions related to other unrelated issues. Now, that doesn't mean this will happen in every case, but what this does tell us is something important. What this tells us is that officers may be looking at more broadly at an applicant's background, beliefs, past statements, and not just the core asylum story, which is very important to be aware of. So what should you do if you have an asylum case? Here are the most important things. First of all, know your case really well. You should be able to explain your story and the reason why you fled your country and the reason why you're afraid to return to your home country clearly, in order, and consistently. Second, be ready for an unexpected questions. Don't get thrown off if something comes up that you didn't expect or you didn't specifically prepare for. And this is when it's really important to have an attorney, so you can be fully prepared for all of these unexpected questions. Third of all, don't guess. If you don't know something, it is completely okay to say I don't know or I don't remember. Fourth of all, review everything that you've submitted. Your testimony at the interview must match whatever documents, statements, or whatever you presented previously in your applications or in your statements. And finally, talk to an attorney if you can. Right now, things are changing very fast, and strategy is really matters. Being prepared and fully ready for your interview can really make a change on the outcome of your case, especially seeing how things are happening unexpectedly. Now, before I go further, I want to address another very important policy change that affects many asylum applicants. And that is a recent policy change regarding employment authorizations. In the past, if you had an asylum-based work permit, and if you filed the renewal on time, your receipt notice would automatically extend your work authorization while your renewal was pending. That is no longer the case. Under the new policy, that the automatic extension is no longer available. Now, what does this mean? This means that filing your employment authorization or your EAD renewal does not automatically extend your work permit anymore. And you could have a gap in work authorization if your renewal is not approved in time. So the recommendation is it's very clear. File your initial EAD as soon as you are eligible, and file your EAD renewals as early as possible when eligible, because timing is now extremely important to avoid gaps. Now, I'm going to go through some common questions that I've been getting a lot, because I know many of you may be wondering the same things, and I wanted to take the time to kind of go over that. One of the questions that get common is, who exactly does this new asylum update apply to? The partial lift on the asylum pauses. It applies to people who are not citizens of or were not born in the 39 listed countries in the travel bans, in the full or partial travel bans. Those cases can now move forward towards final decision if you're not on the list of 39 countries of the full or partial travel ban. And if you don't know if your country is on that list, reach out to our office, and we can help you. What if another question that we've been getting a lot is, what if I'm from one of those 39 countries that are subject to the full or partial travel ban? If you're from one of those countries that are subject to the travel ban, your case is still moving through the system, but you can apply for your asylum, and you will be interviewed, but you will not be receiving a decision yet. It is important for you to make sure, even if you are on the list of the 39 countries of travel ban where the pause is still in place for you, it is very important that you still file your asylum application so you don't lose your eligibility for asylum, because you only have 1 year from entering into the United States to file for asylum, within certain exceptions, right? But you don't want to lose that window. File your asylum applications, submit everything. Your case will get processed, you will get receipt notice, and you will be able to get work permit. Even if you're from those 39 countries, you will still, your case will get processed and you will still get work permit. It is also important to know that, there's a lawsuit that's been filed against these pauses. So we could be hearing some more good news soon as to the asylum application pauses being completely lifted, even for those 39 countries, although there is no change or update on the lawsuit yet. Here's another question. Does this mean my asylum case will be approved faster? Now, the new policy partially lifting the asylum application pauses doesn't mean your case may be decided right away or right now or quickly. And it doesn't necessarily mean approval, because the scrutiny is still very high. But it does mean that your case is going to get processed and you should be able to get a decision, because that pause is lifted if you're not from those 39 countries. Here's another question. Are asylum interviews getting harder? We are definitely seeing more detailed and in-depth questioning, especially around credibility and background checks and discretions. So the answer is yes. What mistakes should I avoid in my interview? The biggest mistakes that I commonly see people make are guessing the answers to the question, overthinking the questions, being inconsistent, trying to give an answer that they think that the officer wants to hear, rather than the truth, and then not fully being prepared, not reviewing your application, not reviewing the documents that were filed, basically going in unprepared. What should I do right now if I have a pending case? You should review your entire application, be ready for detailed questions, prepare for broad topics of questioning, supplement or update your case if your case has been pending for a while, if any changes back home has happened, if any changes in your personal circumstances or your family circumstances has happened, make those updates, update the situation in your case, and then speak to an attorney to make sure that your case is really well documented and prepared. Prepare yourself for the worst case scenario and expect the best. That's my biggest policy. So the bottom line is this. This is good news for some people, for many people, but it's not a full reopening of asylum application, of asylum decisions. If you're outside of the 39 countries of travel ban, your case may still move forward towards a decision. But if you're within those 39 countries of travel ban, your case is still active, but the decision may still be on hold. And for everyone, scrutiny remains pretty high. And separately, be very careful with your work permit timing, because the automatic extensions are no longer something you can rely on. And being able to work lawfully into the U.S., being able to provide for your family, for yourself, it's really important. Thank you for being here today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll answer them as soon as I can. Feel free to reach out to our office if you want your case to be assessed, or if you have any specific case questions. You can reach our office at 408-292-7995. Thank you, and until the next time.